Right, for those who don't know me, my name is Matthew. I've been in a relationship with James since the summer of 1998. Having known Dawson since I was 8, I suppose we're more brothers than actually being friends. Spending our teenage years stuck to the Nintendo, practicing our back and free kicks, cycling around Chew on our walkie-talkies, and being yelled at by Mary and Lucinda. Myself and Jamie attended a primary school run by nuns and a secondary school just for boys. Probably explains why we have such a elite chat when it comes to the ladies. In Jamie's peak years at primary school, he was one of the country's greatest recorder players. We had a number of great music teachers at Sacred Heart, but none lived longer in the memory than Mr. Shepherd. A 56-stone behemoth of a man. We once had the honour of riding in his car to a speech and drama competition in Bath. No word of a lie, his rear end was so large, he merely had to move his bottom to change gears. First to fourth, with just a little wiggle of the hips. His job didn't last long. After we annoyed him so much in an after-school music club, he unleashed a verbal tsunami of swear words upon us. The PTA juggernauts of Mary Lucinda saw to a swift beheading of the shepherd. Jamie was the poster boy of his Year 6 class. I'm sure the only reason he was head boy was due to a call that Mary probably made to the headmistress, claiming the PTA would have her job, house and right leg if she didn't pick her big-eared son for the top job. His final year saw his sparkling career start to go the wrong way. Head boy badge taken away for 2 weeks after an altercation with James Staunton. And being overlooked for the main role in the end-of-year production of Wind in the Willows. Thomas Menazami produced one of the greatest 11-year-old performances of a toad this village will ever see. Being a school year ahead of Dawson, I was already settled into secondary school by the time he followed me to QEH. We actually didn't speak much of his first year, as he fell in with a rough crowd and also once called me a bitch. Henry John bullied him on the bus for a few months after that, so we'll be glad to hear he got his comeuppance. Being a rugby school, Dawson tried his hand at rugby with some success, always looking for any excuse to hoist the crossfield Gary Owen kick. In the classroom, Dawson was a clever enough lad, but when it came to geography, the big man met his match. It may have been the time spent doing impressions of the Irish teacher, Miss Powell Whiffen, or his eternal nemesis, Mr. Raymore, never giving Dawson the time of day to enjoy himself whilst in class. A U grade at A-level was probably the best anyone could have hoped for. The University of Southampton are where some of the crowd in here first met Dawson. Still humour themselves with his friendship. Every female in the group had the sense, aged 18, to fast-track him into the friend zone. Where he is very, very accustomed to work from, a home away from home. In the genius move to attract the neckable females, Dawson surrounded himself with handsome, witty rugby players and Ollie. But alas, to little effect, as he became their fun, clumsy mascot more than their actual equal. Let's just fast forward to our early 20s, where we started living under the motto that Sunday is not a day for waiting and worrying about Monday. We had some bloody brilliant scrumpy-induced days, but some of them just didn't go that smoothly. Whether it was Chris ordering his disgraced son to bring my mum apology flowers after he attended a family roast completely pickled. Having one of the all-time great Sunday fundies at Valley Fest 2019 where he argued with Lucy and ruined her parents' wedding anniversary. Or barging into my flat and commanding Amy to order him an Indian with extra poppadoms as he was technically in need of medical attention and required a professional nurse. Of course, an attendee of all the above-mentioned events, but obviously was completely well-behaved and respectful. A real dream of spending my days with Dawson is that when it does go south, people always remember that gross tall boy Jamie, and not the other one, an inch shorter. I've heard this line over the years described by others 100 different ways. One of my favourites was when a few of us were sat with our friend Emma, watching Jamie stumble around a garden party back in 2014. We watched in silence before Emma came out with, "Just look at that 6'5" human embarrassment." But if I had to pick a singular favourite negative review of our friend, it would have to be an email he received. in which he was described, and I quote, You are a pathetic waste of skin and organs. A quite brilliant and accurate analysis of our friend, wouldn't you agree? And maybe you would consider the entire email for his next tattoo. Now, you may be surprised to hear that our little friend here can occasionally allow his emotions to overwhelm him and have a little tantrum. On football tour in Poland, he was less than pleased how his shoes were feeling on his toes, so proceeded to place them in the bin. He spent the majority of the weekend in his socks, including the one football game we actually played. Coming back from Callum Stag, we were not that sober and had a right mare with the tickets. We ended up in Woking, trying to get to Bristol from Portsmouth, and a very sleepy and ever increasingly stroppy slug had enough of his travel day, so booked himself, myself and Clarkie an Uber back to Bristol. The driver, Prince, smiled the whole way along the M4 as the 6'5" tree slept next to him. Dawson's mood back in Bristol, having spent 190 quid on a no-look Uber, can only be described as unpleasant and vulgar. Now, you can't fault the man's confidence in himself, always doing it with a big old smile on his face. So assured he knows best. It's probably why many of us are friends with him, as we all enjoy seeing him win, but equally enjoy his public embarrassments. Whether it's somehow still believing Christian Benteke should be his captain of his fantasy team, or his cemented belief that all women yearn to spend time with him. Every year since he was 16, he had this delusional monologue going on inside his head, claiming he'd found the one. Just imagine a teenage Mark Corrigan. Every year, another the one would enter the discussion, and myself and Oggy would have to endlessly hear of his plans to make them fall in love with him, obviously to our great amusements. Oggy's current wife was Dawson's 2011 the one. I thought probably still makes her violently ill. I remember us walking to our friend's 17th birthday party. I'm sure his head was telling him he had the ability, charm and talent to kiss all 8 girls at this party. He did somehow kiss one lucky lady, but did make the birthday girl cry as a result. The worst part was, we weren't even invited. Now, a fun fact is that James enjoys my company so much that I actually attended his second date with Lucy. It was a standard Sunday in December, freezing cold and enjoying copious amounts of alcohol on North Street. She was invited to undertake their second date with Dawson a commendable 12 pints into his innings. Oggy and Nish had also had the honour of making the call up to the second date. On paper, this looked a classic Dawson move, where he thought if she could see how much fun his friends were, maybe she would think he was really, really cool. But little did she know, James has always had a strict policy that if you can't get really, really drunk with his friends, then you're in fact really, really dead to him. I can't really tell you how my date with Lucy went. It all got very blurry when the Spoon of Doom drinking game came out. Oh, Mish like that one. That was very good. The game involved hitting each other with a wooden spoon, I think. I remember I had my hand around Lucy's neck at one point, and eventually made a run on 18 pints, as I had work the next day and didn't want to take the mick. I rolled towards the flat and found myself sat in Nando's as their only customer, eating my half chicken with my hands, laughing to myself about my date. I naturally assumed that was the last we'd ever seen of her. But after that, there is no way I'll see her again. She would have to be absolutely mental to go on a third date with us. Fast forward a few months later, and we're all in a rocker nightclub, and the infamous Baywatch song drops. Those powerful opening notes. I'd say the majority of people around our age all have the same reaction when you hear those sweet, sweet notes. Hand down, shirt gripped, finally lift high, swing the narrow move shirt around your head. Niece actually banned the song at her wedding in fear of the carnage. Well, I turned to see Dawson and Lucy with their shirts flying around their heads. This was the first time I thought the girl I choked in the hen and chicken might actually be weird enough to stand a chance here. I thoroughly enjoyed knowing about the proposal beforehand and having the role of herding family and friends to the chosen spot at Valleyfest. I brought Dan Clark into the secret to help out. Myself and Clarkie share a great love of laughing at James. So the thought of Lucy saying no in front of all his friends and family greatly amused us, and we couldn't wait for her to turn him down. On the big day, you could see he was really feeling the pressure. He was in no real mood to relax and have a laugh. So dealing with Colsey, who drank his entire day and night pre-mixed spirits in the queue, was not top of the priority list. When we arrived at the festival, 7 Tories shot off to get their money sorted, and singers was their first time at Valleyfest. I thought I'd stick with them. As I'm happily waiting for them, a giant heckle gets thrown my way from all the way over the other side of the field. What the bloody hell are you doing? Will you hurry up? The sod was cracking under the pressure. He started heading towards the special proposal spot. He was like Mike Tyson heading into the ring. Complete tunnel vision. I've only seen him like that the times he was trying to get past the female bouncer outside Bunker nightclub. He was only responding now and again to Lottie. He was doing a great job at keeping him from breaking down under the immense strain he'd placed upon himself. A few strides behind, myself and Clarky were loving it, as our favourite clown was really under the cosh, and we had a front row seat to the circus. Not to ruin the story, but you're all here, so I guess it went well. A relief on the big man's face. Lucy, I wish you could have seen the difference nowadays. I'd also be surprised if Colsey remembers any of it. When I created the WhatsApp group for the stag, I've never seen such aggression and disgust at the choice of destination. Mr. Dawson, the 32-year-old, wanted to go to Magaluf. Yes, you heard that correctly. Better known in the tourist books as the butthole of Europe. 17 merry men made the trip over, and as you can imagine, it was a pretty grim affair. Copious amounts of alcohol, sun up to sundown for 3 days. The highlight was probably the 4-hour boat party. There might have been others, but the brain decided that anything after that was not to be recorded. Myself and Clarky were loving it, as our favourite clown was really under the cosh, and we had a front row seat to the circus. Not to ruin the story, but you're all here, so I guess it went well. A relief on the big man's face. Lucy, I wish you could have seen the difference nowadays. I'd also be surprised if Colsey remembers any of it. When I created the WhatsApp group for the stag, I've never seen such aggression and disgust at the choice of destination. Mr. Dawson, the 32-year-old, wanted to go to Magaluf. Yes, you heard that correctly. Better known in the tourist books as the butthole of Europe. 17 merry men made the trip over, and as you can imagine, it was a pretty grim affair. Copious amounts of alcohol, sun up to sundown for 3 days. The highlight was probably the 4-hour boat party. There might have been others, but the brain decided that anything after that was not to be recorded into memory. My costumes for James were designed to show off as much body as possible for maximum disgust levels. And seeing him in his speedos for most of the trip met that level very well. I think Jamie enjoyed it, but he seemed to either be crying, vomiting or sleeping for the majority of the trip. But as Seb rightly pointed out, did you actually expect anything more from a human slug? Oggy declared himself stag on Saturday morning and had a wild 4 hours of shots and pints. Meese would have said he was showing off, but he performed very well. So well, he nearly got hit by a boat, but that's a story for another day. So many great performances from the whole gang throughout the weekend. Really enjoyed catching up and serving on the front line of MAGA with all of you. If anyone wants to hear Jamie's low points of the weekend, please talk to me later, as I didn't want to sully my speech with them. Thanks, mate. Our 20s with Magna Football Club. I feel some years he got into the team the way he squirms into wedding invites by just hanging around the decision maker like a bad smell. But he needs a lot of praise as he kept the club running one summer when no one wants to touch it, and has been self-appointed social sec since he left uni, as he knows cool drinking games and how to have a good time. But sadly, and not a very good drinker, and in his prime, never claimed the illustrious Ballon de Scrump that is awarded to the finest scrumper of the year. The rumours are true. George Pickford, the 3-time winner of the award, is here today. So please just try and choose him like a normal person. Please enjoy himself. No photos, please. One Christmas social, we were stuck how to structure the party, so James decided that we would make up a new game. Club members would come into us one by one, be analysed, then made down a rough pint of cider. Simple. Rusty Filer first up. Welcome, Rust. Good to see you. Your pros, David, include your swearing and your chase the A skills. Cons, you're old, bold and fat. There's your pint, Merry Christmas. Those that know Rusty can imagine the language we received. But we cared not and had a great evening tearing holes into the personality and lives of our closest friends. Happy festive memories. Now, the football club has been home to some of our most treasured memories. I can remember James running onto the pitch, pint in hand, when I scored a glancing header in the cup final, just unable to control any emotion when he's had a Thatcher's. My proudest moment was watching his performance in a cup final a few years ago. For a man whose footballing ability had quite clearly peaked in year 4, I've never seen him that well. Centre of the park against the side top of the league above. A performance of prime Patrick Vieira or Rob Warlock would have been proud of. Lizard lounge was a necessity that night. Now, Dawes has a love for the whole day of football. He enjoys showering with his teammates just as much as actually playing the sports. I can't say his teammates share in the enjoyment of showering with him, as he has, without doubt, the most grotesque naked body. So many different angles and curves, a real human eyesore. Some believe that we call him the Sloog due to his sloppy, insulting, nude physique. The nickname actually was born from his last rapper's vein he had on his leg, which looked like a horrid dirty slug.
God!
But to be fair, he's really grown into it and happily embraced it over the years, as he tends to leave a general trail of disappointments. Such a dirty slug. Now, I hope you're thirsty, as I have quite a few shout-outs. Please make sure your wine is topped up to a substantial level. Before we have the traditional toast to the ones we've lost, I'd like to speak about Jamie's mother, Mary. She would have been immensely proud of the man you've grown into, and I know she's smiling ear to ear, looking down on you on your big day. Her famous cake recipe would have put that wedding cake to utter shame. Sorry, Hester. She's always been watching us, so the best way to honour her missing today would be to have as much fun as possible. I'm sure she would have got on with Luce like a house on fire, both bonding over telling you off for the naughty turd that you are. Join me in standing and raising a glass to Mary.
To Mary.
To Mary.
Please remain on your feet and let us raise a glass to all the friends and family members we have lost and couldn't be here today. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
And also a toast to all the friends Jamie has made you lose. To Stan. I have a few more toasts, but you guys can raise your glasses sitting down, please. Everyone down, please. No, listen up. Yes, listen. How good do the ushers look today? So strong, so handsome. So handsome. Really good effort, lads. All taken, I'm afraid, ladies. But if you are gambling, I'd try Wedding Callum. That beast has no boundaries. I was going to ask for funny stories from this lot, but I had too many of my own. Let's be honest, they could all be up here with their own hour-long speeches on this Muppet. A real pleasure being part of this groomsmen group. Let's raise a glass to how handsome the ushers look and how the bridesmaids have tried their best. Now we move on to Lucy's parents, Sally and John. I am very sorry. Your daughter has brought James into your family. We are all here for you today at this understandably troubling and difficult time. Let's raise a glass to Lucy's parents and wish them all the best, spending their remaining Christmases with the slug. Chris, what can I say? Dawn's already covered you nicely. A phenomenal innings looking after our kid and allowing him to host unlimited Super Sunday football watching chicken nugget sessions and the greatest New Year's Eve parties ever attended. Let us raise a glass to Christopher.
To Grace!
To be fair, Dawson probably would have brought this up, but that being said, a big thanks to Vicky for talking to Chris over the last few years. Dawson was ready to snap listening to Chris murder 25-minute stories of how many letters in the post he received or what level of Candy Crush he was currently on. A glass for our Vic. Tough job, Vic. Lucy, welcome to the family. Another sister I'm going to add to my ever-growing collection. A large majority of the stag, we found ourselves all looking at your husband, asleep, dribbling, crouched in the chair, with unlimited chin and stomach rolls, asking ourselves where the actual appeal is. Popsy just couldn't get his head around it, his drunken brain hurting with the confusion, just shouting, "I just don't get it! Look at it! Look at it!" But the fact you do get it is a brilliant and special thing. I'm not sure if he remembers, but as a teenager, we had a future plan that we would live in a big house together where we would play FIFA and watch football with beers. We would then have a really long garden where we would play football all the time. Now at the end of this garden, there would be a caravan where our wives and children would live. It seemed a bulletproof plan when we were 14, and if I'm honest, it sounds even better now. haven't run it past Amy yet, but I can't foresee any issues from our side. Our Jamie is, let's be honest, human Marmite. You either love it or you absolutely hate it. Thank you for loving it as much as I do. That's not a lot too. Let's raise a glass to Lucy as she has now entered into a lifelong agreement to actively spend time with Jamie Dawson. All the best to Lucy. A lot of blood and sweat has gone into getting Jim to this point in his life. Mary and Chris setting perfect foundations, Sir Richard and Lou chiming in where they could, surrogate parents from the cricket club, and Oggy, Bouch and Stan from the football club. Meech, being his go-to for advice over the last decade, deserves a damehood for the utter codswallop she's had to listen to. But whether it's walking into opposition changing rooms to call out homophobic language towards our players, or assuming he will always be in charge of organising events, he's turned into a pretty good lad. I suppose I've actually missed the majority of this relationship living over in Dublin, but I'm very much looking forward to watching this new branch of the Dawson family tree grow. Their 7-foot-tall children will be great company, I'm sure. I actually can't wait to mock their stinky dad when they're old enough to join in. Now you're married into a fancy family, I just want to let you know there's only so much tweed you can wear. At the end of the day, once a slug, always a slug.
Yeah!
Now let us arise, stand up, we get, and raise our glasses one final time to Mrs. Lucy Dawson and the man they call the moth, the tree, the horse, the embarrassment, the human eyesore, the waste of skin and organs, Mr. Chewmagna, Will Sluggerson, the lanky slam slider, the slug, JWD, Mr. Jamie Dawson. Cheers everyone, thank you.